is our intro music for Transparency and Merit. Boy, it used to be so much easier to find good intro music. So this is Transparency and Merit. I'm Joe. I'm with Brian. We are we are going to be looking into this Twitter meme.
Yes.
What is it, Brian?
It is the Trump depression, meaning that Trump may be responsible for a depression. And I'm wondering if they're doing that because Trump may be on the road to victory and they're thinking that there's going to, like the left thinks there's going to be a depression because of him. I don't really know. And like I said, the economy is really kind of hard to gather. And, I am somewhat conservative, but I don't want to lie and be dishonest and say that that Trump would make things that much better. There may be a depression regardless of what Trump does or not. I'm surprised the economy's doing good so far with this whole pandemic stuff, is doing as well as it is now. It's really surprising because we've spent all this money. So many people are out of work. So I don't know, Joe. I wish I'd have bought more. I wish I'd have bought some gold. That's all I know.
Why are people out of work?
Well, we got this pandemic.
But what really was the reason? It was government mandated.
Yeah, there was a government mandated shutdown because of the pandemic.
Right.
And there's a belief that
it wasn't because the economy was bad. There's no precursor. There's no rhyme or reason other than just this kind of mandate. There was no, as far as the economy goes, there wasn't any real reason for the shutdown. So.
Well, I mean, some people say for safety reasons. There was a shutdown for safety reasons.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the economy suffering.
Well, if the country shut down, doesn't that like affect the economy if the country shut down?
Okay, but I'm looking at fundamentals here. There is no fundamental reason for an economy to go into a depression if the government is mandating people stay home from work. In other words, there's no reason for it. It's just another, in my view, it's just another, I think it's a big scare tactic. I've been asked for years. People have come to me and said, "Hey, Joe, what should I do with my cash? I think the economy is going to crash and burn." And I always tell them, don't watch the news. Keep what you got. And I'm not a financial advisor by any means, but so far, anyone that's listened to me was right.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know what I mean. The first, the first moments of this pandemic, when the country really started to shut down. I mean, I lost a great deal of money in my stocks, but it seems to have bounced back. And the guy you listen to says it really doesn't matter who the president is or who's in charge. Money's going to be, if you have enough money, it's going to be okay. And he said technically the Wall Street is behind, wants Biden, and I guess the non-Wall Street individuals want Donald Trump. And it's kind of confusing on what exactly is going to happen.
Thank you if you're in the chat room right now or listening.
Yeah. I don't even know if we're getting it. Do we have anybody in the chat room? Do we have any listeners right now? I did tweet out the show a little bit, but yeah, it's really hard to say if we're going to have a recession or a depression or what. It's just, I don't know. I mean,
economic depression, either one. It's the Trump depression.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, will we have a Trump depression, or the thing is, do you think there'll be some doom and gloom? Do you smell doom and gloom ahead, Joey?
if enough people lose job. At this point, I don't know too many people who haven't gotten back to work already. Um, Most people I know are back working or never stopped working. So, what are they going to do? They're going to keep collecting paychecks and not have anywhere to go spend it? No, the economy is going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say that, and like I've said before, a lot
There's
of people, yeah.
feel, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but there are. I think that now I don't want to mix views here either. I feel there is a major reset going on in the background, but the system is so organized and so big and vast that I don't think too many people are going to notice too much right off the bat. But I think the changes will certainly come, and I feel we're definitely. I feel the whole uh, reason for why we're at where we're at, it was because of a unavoidable financial reset, whatever that means. I have no idea what that's going to look like. I don't think they just hit a button and reset it. I feel like this is kind of an accounting period we've been in the last 6 months, um, and maybe trying to reconcile what to do and how to do it. But I do feel that there are some major workings going on there in the financial world. I've heard everything uh, from a financial reset to all kinds of different kinds of the Nassar Jassar. There's the reset. There's blah blah blah. There's the mark of the beast and all this. I try not to get too much into all that because I just don't know. Um, but it's certainly there is something big going on. Courthouses have been shut. Um, Commerce had been shut for quite some time, and I wonder where this is going to. Oh, and I've also heard the idea of crypto, being or metal based money, bringing back that kind of idea. Um, but from my point of view, if there is a kind of reset where we go into, hopefully we don't go into a crypto world. I feel that would be the biggest loss of freedom. I agree with other people who've said this point of view, and I've kind of thought it through, and it's just it would be a scary place if we don't have any kind of physical money. I'd hope that
Mhm.
doesn't happen, but it seems um, like kind of the popular way right now.
By the way, Joe, I went, the last time I went to the bank, I usually get change for the laundry, and I wanted to get about 60, and I think it was either 40 or $20. They didn't let me get the full $60 out of quarters. So um, there is something afoot to why this is happening, why they're not allowing that many coins out, and a lot of retail places say they don't give change.
Yeah, again, I don't buy into any of these shortages or um, I think there's so much change in circulation. It's
I
crazy.
have I have. Do you still have the coins? I have about $4
Yeah,
in coins right now.
yeah, I got some of your coins actually.
I wonder if they're worth anything more.
Got to check those out because I'm pretty sure they are.
Yeah, I think you hit a little gold mine there, and I have some coins too that maybe worth some extra cheddar. You know.
Yeah, I bought some actually also 6 months ago. Good timing. I bought a bunch of silver, but you know I'm not looking to go and start trading it or anything. But um, yeah, I
Yeah.
silver.
Well, like I said, you know what I mean. There's all this speculation. I mean, the last Great Depression, the last depression we had was the one in the 30s. There are many different theories on what caused it and the prolonged length of it. Uh, and there are many, because there are people who believe that the Great Depression of the 1930s lasted far longer than it needed to be. Uh, And actually, from my understanding, in the 1930s, we went through two depressions. We went one after the stock market crash, 1929 through 30, and then 36, we were kind of coming out of it, I guess. It was turning into a recession. And then in 37, it dipped back into an economic depression. So lots to discuss out there. And I just want to, go further. I mean, like later on, perhaps this is something that we'll go further into on what exactly is going on, why people are saying this, why people are blaming Trump, and like he's basically being blamed for the handling of the pandemic. I don't know exactly what he could have done otherwise, and what action he could have taken. I mean, I guess being honest with the people, but even being honest, what good does honesty do anyway? I mean, it's all, you know what? It's all up in the air on what the best course of action, and we don't control that. We only know what could or could not come down the pike. And who would have foreseen a pandemic like this? This is unique for all of us. It is controlling a lot of our lives. A lot of people feel that masks are a form of control. That there's something underneath all that. And a lot of people think it's a little bit over dramatic, and people are being, too serious about it, and they're panicking. I mean, there's a lot of different things out there that I think Joe and I are going to get into within Transparency and Merit, because it is an issue that we need to kind of talk about. What is the best course of action? Is this thing as real or as bad as people say? And what can be done? I mean, what is going to be done with the economy? Because the first couple of couple of weeks and month was really scary, really frightening. What was going on? I mean, we were having food shortage. We were having like shelves were bare. Forget about getting toilet paper. And just it was almost like a Soylent Green, type of, it was like one of those futuristic movies where it was really kind of post-apocalyptic kind of thing that we saw happening, and it was really America showing a third world kind of side. So things have been really, for me anyway, they were scary, and the scariest part is kind of over with, but. Man, this thing's going to last. Some say this thing could last for 2 years, man. That's how long the last pandemic lasted. And
I'm hearing that my sound is not coming through. Damn it.
You were coming in a little bit low, but now you're coming in rather good.
Well, I hope if you're listening, let me know if it's sounding any better.
Yeah, and me too as well. But things.
Yeah.
Things could, I mean, this has affected our lives. I mean, far more than, 9/11, it affected our lives a little bit if you travel by air. But this has really affected all of our lives, from travel, from the things that we are able to do. This pandemic has affected our lives in ways that it has never affected anyone's life, I think. I mean, in my 50 years, in Joe's 40, some odd years, we've never experienced anything like this. This is completely new. And I think one of the things we have to do is really be respectful to one another and kind of talk to one another and try to get through this, because look, I have a dog in the fight, but really what I want is for some normalcy, some decency, and just just things to get back to the way we were, and even if they can get better, that's even better, man. I mean, like, we have technology coming out and things like that, and
yeah, don't go backwards. Let's not look back at what was, because that system was no good.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things with transparency and merit is to say, look, the government has, governments always lie. Big business lies, government lies. They're all in cahoots, and sometimes they tell the truth, sometimes they lie.
What do you think of Gavin Newsom?
You know what? I think to a degree he's an elitist who wants what's good for him, and if that benefits. Look, I think all of these politicians believe what they're saying, but certainly with liberal politicians, they often live one way and
Marxist,
preach another.
complete Marxist.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, I think he believes it. I think he absolutely believes it. But it's some of the stuff I don't know if they really believe it. They just go along to get power too.
It's better under the Democrats than the Republicans. It just seems that the economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans. It just seems that the economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans. It just seems that the economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans.
Believe him.
Yeah. You know what? A lot of this stuff is going to. But the thing is, you can't believe the mainstream and the establishment because they've in my opinion, they've already lied about like the riots, that they're like mostly peaceful protests, and kind of downplayed things. So I really don't kind of believe them. I think they're in the bag for BLM. So in the bag for BLM.
Our friends on the other side said, what do we do now? Let's do a tax cut where 83% of it goes to the top 1% of the wealthiest people. Fast forward a few months, global pandemic, 36 million people unemployed, 40% of families who have a worker that makes $40,000 a year or less lose their job last month. 4 million people didn't pay their rent, and the Republican Party says, we don't have any money to help you.
Many people are asking for additional legislation, but we think we'll take a pause here.
U.S. residents could get one check for $1,200.
I think the entire package provides economic
relief. Let me stop there right here. This is all, and Republicans do propaganda too. This hashtag is Democratic propaganda right here. And Republicans also do propaganda as well. Oh, yeah. Although I think, like I said, the establishment has been more dishonest, and it's left. It's been, particularly with regards to the riots, saying they're mostly peaceful. It's really a bunch of gaslighting. Anyway, Joe, is there anything to add before we call this one a day? I just wanted to touch up on this, and we're going to go we'll go further into detail on what is the best mode of action for the economy.
I think we will. I think we will have to hit on a lot of these economic points, especially as we get further into this strange process we're in right now. Everyone's divided up, but I wonder where the economy will land. I just think there's going to be a whole set of new set of rules.
And this is almost like predicting you have a better chance at predicting a sports match or the weather than you do. I mean, the economy is very unpredictable, and because there are so many variables into play that there's a lot of speculation, and there's a lot of things that are unseen. So with that being said, Joe, is there anything else to add before we call it a day?
No, but go ahead and like the show.
Yeah, like the show and subscribe. This is Transparency and Merit. I'm Joe. I'm Brian, and Joe's the guy on top. So yeah, like the show and subscribe. And if you want to, and leave. If you don't like our show, there's been a few people voting down our channel, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the sound, but why don't you tell us why so we can improve if there's anything that we miss? All right. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening.